recent political turmoil in the neighborhood and lessons for India. What political turmoil are we talking about? Look at India's neighborhood in recent years. Is this in this decade after 2020? The entire neighborhood has faced some upheaval. 2021 saw coup in Myanmar. Military junta has come to power again, and Taliban take over in Afghanistan. Isse pehle, the government which was there in Afghanistan was very pro-India, but Taliban is problematic. 2020 saw ouster of PM Imran Khan from the office in Pakistan and riots pushing Rajapaksa out of country in Sri Lanka. Rajapaksa had good relations with India. 2023 saw dramatic political change in Maldives, which pushed more India-friendly Soli government out. Soli government out and Muizu in. Tomorrow we'll talk about India-Maldives relation also. And in 2024, Nepal has seen coalition collapsing, which has brought the less India-friendly Oli government in. And now the fall of Sheikh Hasina is expected to bring a less friendly government in Bangladesh. So recent times have been problematic for India. This situation has various lessons for India's foreign policy. Suhasini Haider had talked about 5 lessons, but I have divided those lessons all in 6 lessons. It's 6 core things that India has learned. So when it comes to India and South Asia, what are the 6 core areas that we need to function upon, that 6 key things that we have learned? These are the things. 1, we need to strengthen our intelligence presence on the ground in each of these countries. Maldives mein government was going to change. We should have known it in advance. Or in Bangladesh, there was so much of hatred, so much of suppressed anger against Sheikh Hasina. We should have known it in advance so that we could have planned accordingly. It is a intelligence failure on our side. We are not saying that our intelligence should be destabilizing government anywhere. We are not saying that. But इतनी बड़ी country है, अपने आप को region की सबसे important country हम बोलते हैं. We should be in a position to in advance know what is happening on the ground. For example, there were 4 consulates in Bangladesh, Chittagong, Rajshahi, Khulna and Sylhet, apart from High Commission in Dhaka, and a slew of agencies working on various projects in Bangladesh. They should have ensured that the groundswell of anger against Hasina government was well documented and relayed in India. Indian policymaker could have planned accordingly. In Nepal, this is happening. In Pakistan, this is happening. In Maldives, this is happening. We from the perspective of foreign policy, we need to know these things in advance. Perhaps USA knew it when it was opposing Sheikh Hasina so openly. India hasn't been able to know that. Second, engage with all sides of the political spectrum. Indian diplomacy has so far mostly focused on one side. For example, in case of Bangladesh, the failure of Indian diplomats to keep a close contact with the opposition, refusing permission to BNP leaders to visit. This has also happened. BNP leaders have not been allowed to visit. Underlined South Bloc's decision to be on only one side of the political fence. But the decision to strengthen ties with Taliban, but we have learned certain things. For example, recently we have decided to strengthen ties with Taliban. Despite its leaders' involvement in deadly attack on Indian mission in Afghanistan, or the warm welcome to leaders of Sri Lanka's JVP, a party that has often espoused anti-Indian stance, clearly indicate that eventually pragmatism dictates engagement with all stakeholders in neighboring countries. Not only with one party, all the stakeholders. So practicality is this, that we need to engage with all the stakeholders. Another example is the India's External Affairs Minister's recent comment, where he sought close engagement with the Muizu government during his visit in August 2020. Recently, he had visited Maldives, and he said that we need much closer engagement. He sought much closer engagement with Muizu government in Maldives, in spite of the fact that it is perceived that India is against Muizu government and India would have preferred the older Soli government. Okay, then India must never forget its strength. That's also a very important point that we need to learn, or we can say we have learned. So for example, when Taliban came to power in 2021, India refused visas for hundreds of Afghani fleeing the Taliban. Many were senior defense and security officials in the previous Afghan establishment who had personally risked their lives to secure Indian diplomats. And we had refused support to them, refused visas for them. This lesson was well learned, and in case of Sheikh Hasina, whom India has allowed to stay in India until she finds another safe destination, as to have turned its back on her would have been betrayal. So while Sheikh Hasina's presence in India may be problematic to some extent for us, but we have not turned our back on her. We have allowed her to stay here till the time she is able to find a place. Otherwise, Kabul ke baad, India had lost its reputation as a dependable partner or dependable friend. Then, don't reduce ties in the neighborhood to communal binaries. That's another important lesson. Communal binaries means a country which has one particular religion will be more favorable to India, and a country which has another particular religion will be against India. This perception isn't good. Nepal is a Hindu majority country, but over the years, our relations with Nepal has been more turbulent. Bangladesh, Maldives have been a Muslim majority country, but over the years, on many fronts, on many occasions, they have been more supportive or openly supportive of India. So we should not let our foreign relations be decided by communal binaries. Revive cooperation in South Asia. This we have already discussed. We need to increase integration cooperation in South Asia, else outsiders will come and have their say. And then one learning is for all South Asian governments. All South Asian government must focus on certain common lessons. One, joblessness and unequal growth are fueling anger on the streets and must be addressed. This for everyone. And with AI and new advanced technologies coming into play, perhaps joblessness would increase. We have to focus together how those problems would be resolved. More importantly, no amount of economic progress can cover up for democratic backsliding. If there is democratic backsliding, if people's views are not taken care of, Bangladesh went through a lot of advancements. But still, Sheikh Hasina had to run away. In modern democracies, the stifling of dissent is unsustainable in long run. Democracy is something that has to be promoted, by diverse viewpoints have to be promoted, opposition has to be respected. This all South Asian governments have to understand, have to work upon. Okay.